Here's some news coming out of the South Side involving the Chicago White Sox. Lance Lynn, this is a guy, he was 5th in the Cy Young voting a season ago. He was 6th this year, and he gets traded for as the Chicago White Sox acquire him. Think about this rotation now as you've got Giolito, Keuchel, and Lynn. Also, Adam Eaton. Remember, he was a part of that big trade with the Washington Nationals. He won a World Series with the Nats in 2019, and now the White Sox acquiring him with a 1-year deal. So, Kenny, the White Sox making some moves here. Which one do you want to start with first, Lynn or Eaton?
Well, let's start with Eaton because they needed a right fielder. They signed Eaton for $7 million. And it's interesting to me, looking at both moves, that they come at relatively low dollar figures. Lynn, remember, is signed for 1 more year at $8 million. That's what made him so attractive. That's why the White Sox were willing to give up a pretty good pitching prospect in Dane Dunning and a guy who's got a chance in Weems. So the White Sox still have some flexibility here should they want to address other areas. The bullpen is one with Alex Colomé, a free agent. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they go from here. Eaton was a curious choice a little bit to me. They were on Jock Peterson. Michael Brantley's out there. But the price was right.
Yeah, no, I think Kenny's hit the nail on the head. I think when you think of Eaton, you think of all the big hits he had in the postseason, also in 2019. He was trending offensively down if you look at his numbers. Let's even throw out 2020. It's easy to throw out after last year. But, you know, it's a young man they're familiar with, of course. Anyone who watches the game of baseball would call Adam Eaton a winning kind of player. He's also the kind of person that inside the clubhouse is going to be a good mix. We saw that in Washington. I look at the Houston Astros a few seasons ago, right before they won their World Series, tainted or not, whatever you want to think about it. But they went out and got some veteran, Beltran, Reddick, others. JV came over, Verlander. And those older guys in the clubhouse certainly helped that young, wonderful core that they had in Houston. And I think one of the big reasons why they were so successful over that span.
And it's interesting.
And you're looking for the same thing for Chicago.
Right, and to that point about Adam Eaton, especially, Kenny, you think back, I mean, that trade, you remember Nationals fans were criticizing, go, what? You're giving up Giolito, who's a top pressing prospect. You're giving up Dane Dunning as well. I mean, this is what Eaton, when you look back at that trade, Reynaldo Lopez is a part of it as well. And then the White Sox, they get Lynn, they give up Dunning, who was their number 5 prospect, and then they get Eaton back. I mean, this is quite a bit of maneuvering here.
Well, look at the dates. It's almost 4 years to the day. And what's interesting here is Giolito at the time, yes, big prospect, but a bit of an underachiever in the Nationals' eyes.
Okay.
Obviously, in Chicago, he figured it out. Dunning has had Tommy John surgery. He's been through that. Joined the White Sox end of last season, was pretty good. So, and Lopez, of course, has been a contributor, inconsistent.
Yeah.
The trade was good for both teams, as it turned out. But at the time, it did seem like a pretty steep package. Eaton had a few years left on his deal. That was what made him so attractive. He was a below-market salary guy. So, yeah, 4 years to the day, it all shakes out a little differently.
I believe, Ronnie, you called it a triptych, which I don't know what that means. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly, but that is quite the triptych, right?
Well, triptych is like a group of paintings, right? So I think when you look at those 3 young players, you think to yourself, and I think Kenny hit the nail on the head, at that point, Reynaldo Lopez might have been ahead of Lucas Giolito as far as what scouts and people thought the upside was. Giolito, of course, has turned himself into an ace of that team. Dunning had a really solid season, only 7 starts, hard to gauge, but a really solid start to his major league career. And he's going to be, I think, a great asset over there with the Rangers. But I think it's a good move. I also think that, you know, when you think of Engel last year, who played for them, was a tremendous athlete. Hasn't really hit as well, but last year he did. So maybe right-handed hitting Engel will help too.